All right. This class will be on how to write chapter 2. So basically, I'll be using the same topic which I used to illustrate chapter 1 to make the illustration for chapter 2. So the topic will be product packaging and consumer buying behavior of selected superstores in Lagos, Nigeria. So basically, what we do in our whole chapter 2 is just telling stories, like telling stories of other people's work as pertaining to our own work or in relation to our own work. How do I mean? Obviously, we are not the first people to write. Okay, I'm taking my topic for instance. Obviously, I'm not the first person to write on product packaging. Someone somewhere or a group of people must have said something about product packaging. Some people would have said something about consumer buying behavior. So in my chapter 2, this is where I talk about all what people have said or have done in relation to this topic. So that's what chapter 2 is all about. And one thing I would like to serve as a note of warning. You see, in this chapter 2, this is where that we are very much tempted to commit the crime of plagiarism. Note, I keep saying this thing to the students in our group chats where we hold these lectures. Note, this is where you would be caught most, because most of what you'll be doing here from A to Z is quoting other people's work. But it is expected that if you paraphrase them, put them in your own words, though still retaining the same meaning. Please, if you don't know how to do the paraphrasing, if you don't know how your supervisor can easily catch you for committing the plagiarism offense, join our group chat and see how it is very easy. It doesn't take them up to 5 minutes. They will just get your work into a software and it detects that you copied. And once that is done, you are either being asked to start your project afresh, you are either being suspended from school, or you are even expelled. Please don't fall into the trap. And most of the supervisors, they won't raise this thing as a concern now until when you are done with your work. Please, it's a trap, don't fall for it. So the format or the structure for chapter 2 is what we'll be looking at next. The structure for chapter 2 is that it is broken down into four major segments. One, we have the conceptual review, theoretical review, empirical review, then we have the summary of gap in literature. Now, conceptual review, just like the name sounds, conceptual review, we'll be looking at the concepts. We'll be looking at the word concept, the major concepts. Next one is the theoretical review. Now, theoretical review, we're just going to be looking at theories which are what pertaining or relating to our topic. Yes, we're looking at theories which are relating to our topic. Then the next one is empirical review. In the empirical review, what we'll be doing there is reviewing other people's work, other people's maybe articles, projects that are actually relating to our own topic. Then in the final segment, we'll be looking at the summary of gap in literature. So without wasting much of our time, I'll just go to one of the work of a student whom got an A in the last set. This is actually a Babcock student's work. He got an A in the last just this graduating class of should I call them 019 or 020. So he got an A. So I'll be using his own work to make this illustration. Remember, I said the first one is conceptual review. We'll be looking at the major concepts. So the basic thing I expect you to do here is, at first, look at the major concepts which you are looking at. Now, for my own topic, you see that my topic is product packaging and consumer buying behavior. So the major concept here is product packaging and consumer buying behavior. Those are my two major concepts. Now, for me now to see if there are other concepts which I'll be talking about, I'll have to go back to my operationalization of variables. Yes, operationalization of variables, or you go back to your objective. Those processes which you use, those sub-variables which you use for your main variables are expected to be reviewed under conceptual review. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. Quickly, I'll just go up to operationalization of variable and show you the variable which was used in this work, and you see how I will bring that down to my to my conceptual review, which is where I'm expected to review the major concepts. Now, you see here now, I use these variables to represent what? Product packaging. We looked at, I said, under product packaging, we look at the packaging color. That's on for in this very work. We looked at the packaging material. We look at the design of the wrapper, and we looked at innovation. So now, in my conceptual review, all I will do after this is a kind of an introduction. You can decide to have same, if you can decide not to have same, but it makes sense to tell your reader what actually the chapter is all about, which we did by saying this chapter evaluates existing pool of knowledge, existing pool of. So, like I said, this first one is just introduction, which you are just to tell us your what you actually intend doing in this very chapter. So down to the conceptual, like I said, it's broken down into four segments or four sections, four major subheadings. Conceptual review, and I said this section focused on definition and conceptual approach to identified variables that were used for this study. That was why I took us back to my topic and what the variables I used were. So that we still went ahead to say conceptual framework, the concept of product packaging, which was my first variable. So I here we try to talk about what product packaging is all about, and I think it's continued down what's just a kind of, you can make it a page or a page and a half for each of the variables, or 2 pages. It depends on how good you are to come across materials relating to um, that very variable. So after that very variable, the next thing was what? Packaging color. Note the rest of the variables which you actually see in this are relating to what? Product packaging. That was why when I came to the operationalization of variables, which is this, you see here I said where we said S1 to S4, S1 to S4, and we said S is our what? Independent variable, while the X here means product packaging. So what you have to do first is you pick your independent variable. First of all, talk about the independent variable like we did the concept of product packaging. After the independent variable, you talk about the variables which you use to represent your independent variable in your specific objectives. That's the process that you use. Like in this work, product color was used, so it was the next one that was discussed under conceptual review. After product color, we looked at packaging materials. That was looked into. After packaging material, we looked at the designs of the wrapper. Now, if you look back to where I paused, I checked at for operationalization of variables, you see that all these are still in line with those stuffs that were listed there. So after the designs of wrapper, next thing to discuss is the innovation. After innovation, that should be the end of your X. Now, for the next variable, we are looking at consumer buying behavior. Now, when you look at not all variables, you might not get write-ups for all variables. So whereby you don't have write-ups for all variables, just talk about the main variable. What do I mean? Now we are to go into the next variable, which is consumer buying behavior. And here you see we have consumer buying behavior as the next one. That's 2.1.6. Now, this consumer buying behavior had different variables as it process in our operationalization of variables. I'm trying to go back to the operationalization of variable. Okay, good. So we said under operationalization of variable, we said Y is consumer buying behavior. So under Y1 to Y4, we had attitude, preference, decision, sales, product. Those are as well to be discussed after we've discussed consumer buying behavior. So that was discussed. But one thing that was done in this work is that after discussing consumer buying behavior, those other variables were not what discussed. Let's look out for that. It wasn't discussed. Next thing the person did was a theoretical framework. Two reasons for this could be that one, either the supervisor did not want those other variables discussed, or the student could not lay hands on materials for the other variable. I'll take it again. The reason why the person might not have included those other variables under the operationalization of variable is that either one, the supervisor didn't make it mandatory, or two, the student didn't get materials for it. So don't go and get yourself stocked up trying to develop materials when there's none for a particular variable. So after that you are done with your conceptualization of variable, the next thing is operation theoretical framework. Now in the theoretical framework, that's another easy one. All you need to do is, like I said, before you start your projects, download articles that are relating to your topic. When you download articles that are relating to your topic, when it comes to this theoretical framework, all you need to do is go to those articles, check the theories which were really adopted. Out of the 15 or 10 of them, like 2 or 3 must have constantly reoccurred in all of them. Those ones are the theories which you should just use for your work. That's all you need to do is to paraphrase the way it was stated in that work, so that your work will not be tagged as plagiarism. If not, I'll just tell you to copy and paste it. But to avoid plagiarism, paraphrase, say it in your own words, but still retaining the same meaning and citing where you got it from. So with that, the issue of theoretical framework shouldn't be a challenge. Then after that, the next thing is now note, under your theoretical review, you are to review at least 2 to 3 theories. Some of your supervisors might demand that you tell us the critics, that's the assumptions or assumptions that are on the assumptions of these very theories. Some might tell you to criticize the theory, but basically, first of all you just need to do is tell us about the theory and how it's applicable to your own work. But by the time you're done with that, your supervisor say, okay, tell me the critics or the assumptions of this theory, then you can now go further to make that known in the very work. So after that, the next thing is empirical review. Empirical review, in most cases, it is done in accordance with your objective. It is done in accordance with your objective. All you need to do here is to tell us that, okay, let me take for instance, the first objective in this very work was packaging color and consumer buying behavior. And here, this is a summary of someone's work that has to do with packaging color and consumer buying behavior. I stated first the person's name, and I said he investigated, I stated the topic, I said the aim, I stated the aim of the work, I stated the method, which was a self-administered survey. I stated that questionnaire was used. In each part of the questionnaire, I stated how it was developed and the rest of them. The study, I stated what the findings of the study were, and I stated the conclusion as well. So that's basically what you do in empirical review. It's just like our gap analysis, but just that our empirical review. Sorry, our article review. Sorry, I said empirical review. Our article review, where we state the author's name, the objective method. It's just the same thing, but this one we're going to making it in a statement form, but we won't be adding the gap analysis to it. So at least you should do 5 articles under each of your objectives. That's the standard. 5 articles under each of your objectives. Like you can see, this second one, it did packaging material under and consumer preference. So that's what you keep doing until you're done with your empirical review. After the empirical review, some of your supervisors might request for a summary of empirical review. That's you just putting it in a tabular form, the title, the author's name and the year, the method adopted, and the findings. You just put it in a tabular form. The same thing you've done in writing under the empirical review, you just put in a tabular form. Some supervisors might request for that, some might not request for it. So it's just for you to do the empirical review first. Then, if the supervisors now makes demand for the summary of gap in literature, which requests to be done in a tabular form, then you know you have to do that one. Then the last thing is the summary of gap in literature. In this place now, all you need to tell us is that yes, that there have been some work done in this your what in this your very topic or around this your very topic, but so so and so has not been considered. Maybe the variables which you adopted, or the location which you adopted, or the method which you plan to adopt. That's just what you are to tell us, that yes, that so so and so might have done some work on this, but at the end of the day you find out that some things haven't actually been attended to. So that's a summary of literature. And under the summary of literature, this is now where you now tell us gap in literature, telling us that so, 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 and so has not been done. Maybe the research has not really been done in Nigeria, or it has not been done in Lagos or Ogun State. You tell us why this your own, the gap which your own study is coming into what to fill. This class actually was done in a hurry, so I would be expecting a lot of questions if you are in any of our group chats. Once you go through the class and you see a need for any, or you need any clarification on anything, please let us know and we'll make that available. Thank you very much.